Continue.
What is the difference? It's a story, very similar, but if I'm not mistaken, Straight Outta Compton's made almost 200 million, if not more. Where I believe The Godfather to this point has made, don't misquote, maybe 500 million, but it's been out since 1972.
Keep going.
And so I would like to do a study to see the difference if they would have actually voted for an Oscar for The Godfather, which I believe won 7, 8, or 9, without any sort of, you got where I'm going with this, right?
Keep going. Take us there. Come on.
I can't go any further than that. These are smarter people than me, but that's the idea. Let's do a comparative study. That's what I'm saying. Why them and not that? Regardless if you don't like the content and historical value, that was a turning point in music. Live it, like it or not. In particular, folks who grew up in Los Angeles, I'm not from here, but this is your story. That's your neighborhood story. If you grew up during that time period, you knew them or knew somebody who knew them. They either annoyed you or you went to their parties. It's telling your neighborhood story. And it's not fair to Los Angelinos, in particular the African American community, who grew up with a turning point in music. And that's why what happened this year is very rare for such a great product to come out. So then I go back to the same thing, The Godfather, played by Denzel.
I believe there's 300 people here. There's cameras running here. This can't stay in this room, ladies and gentlemen. This is real, and these are ideas that can happen. This can happen. This isn't just an exercise for the sake of having an exercise. It's to spark our thought and actually channel some things that can now move from this room to a position of action. That's what this is all about. So we have The Godfather, Wonder Woman, and Sherlock Holmes, played by African Americans. Starts with a thought, now it comes into action. Coming into your questions, I think they're hopefully somebody's going to give them to me, but I have plenty here. Here we go. Let's get to this though, because one thing that I'm really challenging us to do is to actually have some things we can walk out of here and do. Okay, so let's go to that. 300 people here, others watching, streaming, tweeting, involved online. Change is constant work. The NAACP and its leadership team, they all know that. From boycotts to creating the Image Awards, ongoing coalition meetings, there's things constantly happening to help us make change. But for people in this room, to each of you, what is one thing you would like to see done in the future to make sure more diverse images and experiences are included in movies, TV, and video games, etc.? And I want you to really bring it home, if you can, to somebody sitting in this room. What can they walk out of this room tonight and tomorrow and do? We're going to continue to talk about the studios, and we're going to talk about that. But this is for the 300 people here who want to hear from each of you. Leaving here tonight, one thing they can do. Dr. Hunt.
Well, I think I'm an educator, so I think the first thing we have to do is raise awareness, raise consciousness. So, a lot of people across the country, we're in LA, so we know about Hollywood. I mean, you can't live in LA and not know something about Hollywood. But people in, New Jersey, maybe they don't know as much about what goes on in Hollywood and how it works. I think raising these issues with people, letting them know how their consumption affects possibilities or the lack thereof is an important thing. Media literacy, be critical of what you watch. Ask questions about, who created that image? Why was it created? How might I have done that differently? I think having that conversation, having it with your children, if you have them, so they're, critical consumers of what they watch is important as we kind of advance as a people.
I heard it all too, trust me, I'm going to wrap it up. Don't think I'm a multitask here. Kimber, one thing that the people here online watching, what can they do? Action item, what can we do here? Talk to us.
Okay, I think I'm about to get myself in trouble here. Please pardon me, I hope I don't offend anyone. I'm not a religious scholar and I'm not religious, but if I understand this story correctly, according to the Old Testament, after God created the heavens and the earth, the beasts, the fowl, the seas, and everything, the last thing he did before he took a rest was create man and woman in his own image. To me, that speaks to the fundamental power of creation. So the one thing I would say is that change starts with the individual, and that is recognize your own divinity. Recognize the power that you have to tell your story, tell your sister's story, tell your brother's story, and take that power. And watch the Image Awards on Friday, and support institutions like the NAACP year-round so we can build these coalitions and move this conversation forward proactively all year round.
Thank you so much. Dr. Gary, one thing, people sitting in this room, watching online, what can we do walking out of here later tonight, tomorrow?
I like what you said, and you're in a great place to talk about the Old Testament because it's happening right here. That's a good thing. That's good. Yeah, but seriously, that's serious too. I love the Lord. So, diversity by. I have to go back to the branding. We have to have someone buy into that idea, someone big. From what I understand, I did a little study on who's allowed on the actual voting committees. I believe it's 5,700. From a 2012 study. Some people are sponsored in or mentored in, mainly about 90% Caucasian male. 23% are only women, I believe. Some of the men on there, I believe Woody Allen, as of 2012, was not a voting member by choice, nor was George Lucas. But we need someone with power to say, well, we need a diversity label to know that they're giving us a shot to do this. And not just assume because it's Tyler Perry. And God bless Tyler, he employs people. You know, he gives people jobs, but we need other folks. Give him a clap. Absolutely. I understand. Look, it's about trying to have a lifestyle. So the idea, just because they're black, how about everyone make an effort to develop this diversity tag and support, and not just hope and pray that Spike makes another film. And we have to have everyone make that effort. So if we change that labeling, where everyone's making that effort, we can make a choice of either to buy or not to buy. So we need someone way up top to buy into this. Let's build a program to change it. Thank you.
Time. We're on time? Okay, well, they're telling me we're out of time. I'm just a moderator, so I take my cues from the bosses. But let's, ladies and gentlemen, please, let's first of all thank all three of these individuals for their commentary, their expertise, being here, supporting what we're doing. Dr. Hunt, Spencer Smith, Dr. Gary, we can contact you guys. We have your information up top, so I think you would allow me to say that you would like to be part of this conversation beyond tonight. Would that be fair for each of you, to a man and to a woman, to a man? That's a yes, yes, and a yes. I think you started the conversation with us, and now we want to continue to be part of it. You've given us some action items, something we can walk out of here and do. Now we need to hold ourselves accountable to doing that. Let's thank all three of our first panelists. Thank you.